everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and today I wanted to talk about a discussion point that myself and Regis had on our interview a couple days ago. If you haven't checked that out, I'll link it down below. But it's about Duels and how basically Duels is it's just a dying dead mode, and it's an absolute shame. And I wanted to go over the big problems with it, and basically if these problems could be addressed, I think the mode could have a good future if, Blizzard wanted to go down that road. And I imagine they're putting this new mode into the game for it to succeed. So I wanted to go over that, and I apologize for the mess. It's a bit of a mess back here. We're setting up like a new desk, mic, setup, all that. Hopefully that's up in the next day or two. It's a lot going on here, so sorry for the mess. But anyways, let's get going into it. Let's take a look at why Duels is a dead mode and what maybe can be done about it. So Duels launched like early November last year, like 2 months ago. It was like early access, right? The only way you could access it was through like a pre-order. And it was rather limited in its launch. You could pick from all 10 heroes, but each one only had 1 hero power and 1 treasure, right? That's it. But if you had access to the mode, you could play any of the heroes, pick and get the hero power treasures. So the launch was okay. There was some hype. Most of the streamers played it, but for the most part, it seemed like they played for a day or two, and then there wasn't that much. You only had the 10 heroes, the 1 hero power, kind of got figured out, and they went back to their mode, whether it be battlegrounds, ladder, arena, whatever. And then it was it ended. The early access ended, and it was available to everybody. And by then, it's like the hype already had kind of died down, and then we had the expansion launch. So basically, this leads into my first point, is the way the mode was launched and hyped, it was like destined to fail in terms of being lost. The hype for the mode was dead before it even got started. So like the big problem was, remember, there's a major expansion came out. We had the old gods, although none of them really see any play, but that was really exciting, and that's what gets hyped up, and people don't think about Duels. And outside of like one invitational, I think, which is like streamer only, Blizzard promoted event, there really hasn't been anything for Duels promotion wise. Nothing. They added in like the 2nd hero power and the 2nd treasure, which is actually a problem we'll get to. But yeah, basically the mode was like kind of just lost. And Battlegrounds went through the same thing. They basically did it the same way they did Battlegrounds last year, right? Battlegrounds was early access with the pre-order to Descent of Dragons, and then it was like available to other people and all that. So it's like, oh, that should work for Duels. The thing is, this is a big deal. There was no other new mode ever in Hearthstone. We have like ladder, arena, Tavern Brawl, right? And Tavern Brawl's not really a mode. I don't even really count that. But let's say that was a new mode. There basically hadn't been anything in years. So it had nothing to compete with. Battlegrounds, outside of ladder, had nothing to compete with. And it was completely free to play. Outside of like, getting the perks to get an extra hero pick, you could play everything in Battlegrounds. It's all available. Whereas Duels is not free to play. We'll get to that. That's one of the parts. But, it also has to compete with Battlegrounds, which is really popular, really successful. Has to compete with ladder. Not as successful these days, but it still has to compete with that. It had more to compete with. It didn't have the novelty of being the first new mode in forever. It's just another new mode. It's crazy how quickly that wears off, but that seems to be very clear. The second major problem is the mode itself, since it's been launched, and this is perceived by many, is just to not be balanced very well at all. Only a couple of heroes are really good, and only a couple of like treasures and hero powers are really good, and it's really fast to be figured out. So like originally, like Shaman was really good because the hero power, getting the 2 totems was busted. They nerfed that, and It's been like, now it's like Demon Hunter's broken in the mode. It's been that way for a while. They tried nerfing the treasures, but that didn't do it because it's the passive that's insane. But it's a passive you have to pay for. And Warlock's really good, like with the hero power, the 1-man hero power, and the treasure, getting lifesteal. But basically people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to play it. If I don't get like Demon Hunter, I don't get Warlock, I don't want to bother, right? So if you're playing the casual one, they just re-roll. And if they get heroic, they're like, well, now I'm going to lose gold, and that feels bad, and they don't come back to it. So for the most part, it's like, because it's so unbalanced and it's figured out, you just feel bad if you don't get one of the couple of good heroes. It's not like Arena, where there are better classes than others, but you can still win with pretty much everything. Duels, it doesn't feel that way. Duels, if you get stuck with like Shaman, you're just not going to win. I am... Like the site I use to look up duels decks, Hearthstone, we'll just take a look together here. So yeah, one of the sites I use, this is hearthstonedex.net. I use this to look up duels decks. And yeah, like, I use it to just basically, if I want to pick a class, what am I going to go with? Go to Shaman. There's literally there's no stuff here. There's literally, hasn't been a 12 win since Jackie Chan got one in November 24th. Whereas if you look at, like, let's say Demon Hunter, you're going to see that there was a 12 win run in, like, January 1st, 24th, like, several throughout the month, because it's been really good. It's just really, you can't really pick another class. It just feels really bad. This differs, whereas in Arena, like, say you get the worst class, so I'll just show them all here. Demon Hunters at the very bottom. You still can get to 7 wins. You can still have success. Whereas Duels, it just feels like that's a complete and utter long shot. The third major problem I see with the mode right now is there's literally no reason, for the most part, given to play. Outside of, like, the heroic mode, where you can, like, you know, enter and try and win some gold. But again, as I said, with the mode being unbalanced, it's kind of, you know, sketchy and feels bad to do. There's no incentives. Like, you have this rating, this MMR thing, I'll show you in the menu, you know? You have that, but there's no leaderboards. You don't know where you pair up against other people. So unless you're, like, actively looking out, like, on social media or something like that to find out where other people are, it's basically a meaningless number. So it'd be nice if at the very minimum they could add, like, a leaderboard, something like that, so that people could take a look and see where they are to have a reason. I mean, we have a leaderboard for Battlegrounds, we have a leaderboard for Standard, and they do occasionally make leaderboards for Arena. They had talked about maybe making a monthly one, but we don't see it. So, you know, give people a reason to play. And again, there's not a lot of content creators out there that even play it because of this reason. Like, people are competitive. They want a reason to play. And for the most part, you know, you want to top 100 NA in your title, or my 16,000 MMR or whatever in Battlegrounds. Like, you want that reason, and you just don't really have that with Duels. And as a result, there's not a lot of people that are really pushing it from a competitive level. Team America is, like, the most prominent Duels streamer out there right now. He averages, like, 100 to 200 viewers, and he's doing pretty well, but, like, it's just, like, he needs some help, man. Give the guy some help. Like, he's pushing for it, and I just feel like if they could create more reasons to play, maybe do a tournament, something, I think it could help a lot. Bring more eyes to the product would be a big deal. And lastly, and this is the most, like, important, biggest problem, it's just by far the biggest deal, is it's too expensive. This mode is the most expensive mode in Hearthstone. It is. It's the most expensive mode in Hearthstone, with the smallest payoff. If you want to play Standard, you just need your Standard cards. You want to play Battlegrounds, you just need your perks. You want to play Arena, it's 150 gold. I guess Wild technically would be more expensive because you would want all the cards, which would enable you to do everything in Duel, so I'll give it that. It's slightly less expensive than Wild, but for the most part, Wild is less expensive because you typically don't need that many cards. The decks don't change that much in Wild. The power level's so high on those decks, so in theory, you would think Wild's more expensive, but it actually isn't because of that reason. Whereas in Duels, you need, like, access to everything. They're rotating the expansions multiple times. You've already seen that. They rotate what expansions go in. Some are Standard, some are Wild. So you kind of need to have access to all those expansions. On top of that, you need to have the epics and the rares and commons from the most recent expansion to unlock the treasures, the hero powers. And that's going to change every expansion. That's going to change. When the next expansion comes out, those treasures and those hero powers are going to be tied to the next expansion's epics, rares, and all that. You're going to have to keep up with every single expansion to unlock these treasures and hero powers that matter a ton, as you can see with, like, Demon Hunter being broken because the second hero power is busted, or Warlock being busted because the second treasure is busted. Both are tied to the expansion. So just to play Duels at, like, a decent level where you don't feel like you're at a huge disadvantage, you have to have basically everything in the game, and that's crazy to me. I don't really understand the motivation behind it, because, like, I guess they want you to buy the new expansion, get all the cards so you can play but you're already doing that for ladder. Like, it's not like Battlegrounds makes you buy the latest expansion to get access to the newest heroes. You just have to have the perks for a bit, for like the first 2 weeks, and then you get access to it. It's mind-boggling that they've tied the hero, especially considering the first 16 cards that you have to build, you have to do from your collection too. So you have to have your collection for the first 16 cards, and you have to have the collection for the hero power and passives or treasures. It's just too much. It is showing. People can't play it. It's too expensive, and if they don't have the wild cards, they're already going to feel like they're at a disadvantage and don't want to play for that reason. So what would I do? And Blizzard needs to make money, of course. What I would do is get rid of this tying the treasures and hero powers to the expansions. It's just not healthy. If you're going to make people just think about it. Day one, the next Duels season starts on day one of the next expansion, and you're a free-to-play player or a budget player, and you like Duels, and you're going to be locked out of all the hero powers and all of that stuff because you're not going to have a lot of cards day one. And you really like Duels. You won't be able to play your favorite mode. You won't be able to do it unless you spend a bunch of money on packs. And this is not good. That's bad. So I would just make it so that you unlock the hero powers. You unlock the treasures by playing. Like we saw in Dungeon Run. You can unlock new hero powers, unlock new treasures, but you'd have to play. You have to get a certain amount of wins as like a mage or with certain decks or whatever. But you would unlock it eventually, not through like paying for it. It's just, I don't think this monetization strategy makes any sense. I think it's going to completely kill the mode, and you're not going to make any money if no one's playing it. What's the point of playing this mode? And this mode needs to be constantly updated. Like I mentioned, it's unbalanced. They have to balance it if they want it to work, which means they have to put resources into balancing it. So you want to make this to make any monetary value make any sense, you need people playing it, and the incentivization to play it, to spend money, would just be to have a collection so you can build your Duels deck, the first 16 cards. You still have to pay for those cards, but to also double dip and make people have to get the treasures and passives or hero powers it's too much in my opinion, and I think it's going to kill the mode. I don't think it'll ever succeed in its current structure, and it's completely dead from when I'm playing it. It's just like no one's playing this mode, no one's talking about it. And it's concerning because I think it's a cool idea and it could be really good. It's just the way it's set up is like the barrier to entry is so high and the reason to play it is so low that people just don't want to play Duels. So let me know in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with these? What you do to make people play Duels? What would bring you in to play Duels? Or do you think it's great? You're playing it, you're loving it. We shouldn't be complaining. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.